Welcome back to As Promised. This is another pre recorded episode. In fact, I've actually just done two back to back, but these are going to be a week separate, so it's not going to sound like it. we love to hear it. This isn't the second myth to dispel. Remember, dispel is to make a doubt or feeling disappear. And the second myth is that the brain's hard wiring cannot be changed. Bull beep. Not me actually beeping myself. So this one I'm gonna chat about proper. Like I'm even gonna move away from the book and only take a couple of quotes from the book because I fundamentally believe that this is absolute facts and it needs to be encouraged so much so. Okay, so let's jump into it. It says, right, during the time before neuroplasticity was proved, so the last episode where we discussed being able to create new neurons, new synapses, new electrical messages and stuff, before even that, there was a Swiss philosopher, I'm going to love saying this, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who in the 1700s, the mid 1700s, argued that nature was not stagnant or machine like, that nature was alive and dynamic, which is obviously true. The plants bloom, the plants die, the earth moves. Like if you look at the sky, if in a full moon, you see the clouds moving across, like everything. If you listen to other episodes in the podcast, one of the things I talk about or I'm really passionate about and enthusiastic about is movement and flow as opposed to being stagnant and staying still, freezing, being stuck and confused. If nature is in constant movement, nature is alive, it's dynamic. We are also a part of nature. Our bodies are a part of nature. Our cells, all of those things are also alive, dynamic, moving, and in that way. So Jean-Jacques Rousseau went on to propose that the brain was continually reorganized according to our experiences. Of course, that goes, I feel like that goes without even challenge. If somebody if somebody steps on your foot on a train, the next time you're gonna move your foot before you see anybody he'll even get anywhere near. That's like a minuscule thing. But do you know what I mean? Like even in like um past relationships or situations, like we constantly learn and guide ourselves according to that which we have experienced, right? I've mentioned this to a couple of my friends before, and I think they think I'm a bit like, huh? But I say the gesture of pointing towards our backs when we talk about the past is actually inaccurate. And we have to gesture towards the front of us when we talk about our past, because our past is what we see. Our future is actually behind us, and we walk into that without vision. I definitely bit that from somewhere, how many years ago, someone that I spoke to, or a workshop. I think it's a workshop that I did years and years and years ago, but like the idea that our future is what we can't see, but we make those decisions according to that which we can see, which is our past constantly in front of us. The idea that, you know, the past is the past and we should forget it, I think is um it could be quite dangerous. Well, not dangerous, but you know, it can be quite unuseful. I don't know if that's the word. For someone who loves words, I should be able to like pull out, you know, juicy ones sometimes, but that's what I mean. Learning out loud, being able to move according to the experiences that have happened prior actually affects how we move present. So if we are also teaching our brains um and feeding our brains narratives, if we know that certain past experiences made this present body feel this way or feel uncomfortable to be in, or the thoughts were not comfortable to think, we have a duty, a responsibility to look at our past thoughts and go, okay, I have to change that in order to not experience those things again. It's the same thing. Those who do not hear must feel. You will not put your hand in fire because you know it's going to burn you. All of the parables. So it says people should practice mental exercise the same as physical exercise. People should practice mental exercise the same as physical exercise. Now, I feel like there is so much narrative, there is so much narrative, there is so much attention, there is so much information around the benefits of physical exercise, especially because we are so, part of the population are very visual beings, and because of that we base a lot on aesthetics and don't acknowledge what's going on in the inside, and I mean actually with our organs and stuff, but also with our internal landscape. So we're happy to, wear the waist trainers. We're happy to even go under the knife and get surgery. We're happy to do all of these external things in order to look externally a particular type of way. But what about the internal? That doesn't shift just because the body on fleek on the outside. I mean, sometimes it might. If you feel good externally, it can manifest to feel good internally. But without the actual acknowledgement of going internal, I believe, and going, oh, I need to do some cleaning, clearing, investigation, exercise, working, like doing all of this stuff, going into the corners of our brain that are uncomfortable to experience, uncomfortable to explore, actually only continues to manifest that which we have experienced already. And I believe if you're listening to this episode, if you're listening to any of the episodes that I've chatted about, it's because actually we have decided to evolve away from the way that we have done been thinking. We're stepping into the unknown, the mysterious. We're exploring other things, other avenues, because we've done that. And the journey doesn't stop because we've done that. We've lived that version of ourselves. We've lived that we've experienced those parts of ourselves. We've thought those thoughts. We've been those people. We're now a different part of evolution where I think a lot of humanity acknowledges that there is a certain amount of responsibility that we have to take for self. So we have to go internally. And that also comes down to mental exercise. We have to, if we can challenge the body in the gym, we have to challenge the brain in brain gym. And where is brain gym? I think that is reading the books. I think that is going, oh, when our phone tells us about screen time and stuff, going, I need to cut some of this down. It's investigating, you know, things that we don't know, our financial literacy, our literacy in general. What are we feeding our minds? What are we feeding our bodies? I work in the media. I mean, I love making film, television, and theatre. But what does that do? Is it serving us? Are we expanding our thought patterns? Are we expanding ourselves? I mean, I love a good binge session in front of television. I love sitting there and watching, my friends doing their incredible work ever, and I'll give you a whole list of TV shows that you can watch. However, there are sayings like couch potato. I wonder if we can translate and create parallels to brain potatoes. You know what I mean? I hope you know what I mean. This kind of goes into the part that I was just talking about in regards to a certain amount of the population are um, visually driven, aesthetics, and our desires and what our bodies look like and stuff like that. But there's a part of the book where another scientist um, took away one of these animal senses. They took away the animal's sight, and in order to get the food, it says here that the animal created many different. Okay, so the animal created many different types of redundant synapses based on all their senses. Many parts of their brains interact to form a variety of overlapping sensory associations. In other words, the animal was not just seeing their way to the food in the maze, they were smelling and feeling their way as well. When bits of the cerebral cortex were removed, the brain would sprout new projections, which are also called axons, and form new synapses to take advantage of other senses, using the cues that remained, however tiny. Here we have the first strong clue that hard wiring should be greeted with skepticism. This is why I feel like this is kind of like a little bit of a tangent and it's personal to me. I feel like the disabled community, which are often people that are pushed away to the marginalized away to the fringes of society because they don't have that which we all believe are we need, the whole five senses, are they're super beings because their brains have created new synapses, new axons, new neurons in order to not only survive life but thrive in life as well. I mean, just take Stevie Wonder, for example, and the music that he creates. The brain of Stevie Wonder, I think, is exceptional because of the resilience in which the mind said, no, I am going to do those things that the narrative says I shouldn't be able to, if that makes sense. The brain has a capacity more than we've ever acknowledged. And if we train it, if we acknowledge that there is a certain amount of exercise that we can do for it, to it, we will expand the possibilities of our brain. I mean, that comes even down to the people that are so multilingual. They can speak how many languages? Even just the idea of speaking multiple languages feels so daunting to me. But then that is a narrative of fear that I've attached to this thing because I'm like, oh, really? Can I do it? But of course you can. The brain's capacity is abundant. You've just got to give it the mental exercise to do so. Right? Here it says the brain has circuitry, yeah, but no wires. The circuits are made of living tissue. More important, they are reshaped by thoughts, memories, desires, and experiences. So I can literally reshape my brain tissue with just the desire of wanting to learn a new language. I've been trying, I'm not trying, I've obviously not dedicated or applied myself enough to learn sign language, British Sign Language, but it's something that I've had the desire to do for a very long time, partially because I'm writing a story where the lead is deaf. I'm I am actually going, this is, so everybody that listens to this, you have to hold me to account. Not the public. Not yet. Okay, I'm gonna learn British Sign Language by the end of 2024. Let's go. Let's go. Mental exercise. Let's do it. Me and my little brother are gonna do it. I'm enlisting him to go on this mental exercise with me because, of course, we can. Why would we not? Why would we not? Wow. Living brain tissue. Oh, okay. So this section I really enjoyed because it told a story, and I'm gonna retell it in my own words because the narrative of the story was interesting to me, in the sense that they put food for monkeys right in, let's say, a deep well, and they lowered the well bit by bit. So the first, let's say the first few times the monkey could reach it, all it had to do was stretch into the well, stretch, and it picked up the food and ate it. And then the next day it did the same, but then it kept getting further and further and further. And what these scientists had discovered was that the desire to get the food, the desire to eat, the desire to stay alive actually rewired the monkey's brain and then changed the physiology, I think that's the correct word, of the animal to retrieve the pellet. So they altered they altered the monkey's brain, or in teaching the monkey a new skill of how to reach for the food that it wanted, the pellet that it wanted, to get the food. Sorry, I'm being silent because I'm trying to make sure that I'm saying this right. Yeah. So the fingers didn't actually extend. They didn't grow longer fingers to get the food. They just rewired. That's what I had imagined in my head. No, they had just rewired they saw by the scans that they did on the monkeys that the brain had rewired to find new ways to retrieve the food despite the food being in a different place or further away from the monkey. So it says in this form of neuroplasticity, neurons that fire together wire together. In our everyday lives, if we intentionally set out to learn new things or do familiar things in new ways, such as commuting to work in a different way, taking the bus instead of the car, walking, making your breakfast different, um, maybe eating at different times, eating slowly. I'm just coming up with ideas. What are familiar things that we do when we drink water? Actually thinking about drinking water. Um, it says we effectively rewire our brains and improve them. A physical workout builds muscle. A mental workout creates new synapses to strengthen the neural network. Many other examples reinforce the idea that the traditional doctrine of the stagnant, unchanging brain was false. Isn't that amazing? Our brains were never stagnant and our brains were never unchanging. They're constantly changing according to that which we tell it, according to that the challenges we set it. Those are the mental exercises that we need to find and do for ourselves every day. If you remember, you will remember because we're going to engage the hippocampus. It says, as the brain cells die, the neighboring cells can compensate, maintaining the integrity of the neural circuit. To make this more personal, you see the house you grew up in, remember your first kiss, and cherish your circle of friends, thanks to a highly personalized neural circuit that took a lifetime to create. Wow. The healthy nerve cells were sprouting new axons, main trunks, and dendrites, numerous thread like branches. I said those in the last ep for sure, to create neural circuitry that would compensate for the dead nerve cells. The bottom line, this is the bottom line. We are not hardwired. Our brains are incredibly resilient. The marvelous process of neuroplasticity gives you the capability in your thoughts, feelings, and actions to develop in any way you choose. I think that last sentence is particularly powerful because you have to make a choice. Or you don't, I guess. Your brain is, like it said in the last section, being alive is enough, but you might not be expanding, you might not be challenging, you might not be doing your brain its own justice by giving it the exercise, the food for thought, the food for growth that it needs, which is also a part of an experience, but I guess if you're listening to this, it's because, like I said, we've lived that, we've done that, we've been those people. It's exciting to step into the mysterious with enthusiasm and passion to explore that which we might become. So that being said, in what ways are you going to challenge your brain? In what ways are you going to work your brain out? In what ways are you going to give your brain new exercises to do? Maybe here's some suggestions. reading that book, even listening to this podcast, I guess, is a new way to challenge your brain, because Lord knows this is not as linear as it could be. This is not as clear and linear as this exploration could be. But even picking up the book, going and buying the book, reading the book alongside with these episodes that are available. I would love if somebody bought the book and was like, Ronke, you got that wrong. That's not what this part is saying. I think it's saying that, in order to create discourse and challenge for my cells and then the person's cells to vibrate and just expand and create new neurons and new synapses. Wouldn't that be exciting? So, in order to not just be that person who says, go off and do this, and not give you opportunities or examples in ways in which you could do it, here are seven brain exercises to strengthen, well, my research says strengthen the mind, but is it also, it's probably the other way around. Actually, it's probably an infinity symbol in the way in which the mind and the brain work together. But here are seven of them, okay? Exercise. I mean, I take my mom to Zumba, I do exercise, and this doesn't have to be strenuous exercise. Like I said before, like going for a walk is exercise, stretching is exercise. And I'm not even gonna lie to you, I am not great at doing my stretches. I would rather do go for a run and not stretch. But I think that's actually important for everybody to do. So maybe there's an exercise, there's a stretching challenge that we need to do together or something, but stretching is really important. Exercise, yoga. I'm actually not great at yoga either. Oh, I need to stop saying those things. Okay, I'm okay. These are the exercises that I know I need to do. I need to stretch and I need to do yoga, Pilates, because I like to lift weights and I like to sweat and jump and do all this stuff and feel my body working. But I guess if that's one side of the coin, I also have to honor the other side and feel my body elongating and being malleable and not just being like strong, rock strong. So there's one. Um that also kind of goes hand in hand with, I believe, diet, in a way in which to exercise your brain, drinking more water, fresh fruit but not too much sugary fruit, having more vegetables in your diet. I know this can be challenging. Me, I love a party ring, I love sweets, but one of the first things it says in this book is about alcohol and tobacco. So I think, if you can, if it's available to you, which it is, because you have the faculty, which is your inherent capacity, your inherent and permanent essential capacity, I reckon, even if it's just a day, being like, I'm not going to have a drink today. So that's a way, that's number one way in which you can exercise your brain. Another way that I found, number two, is draw a map of your town from your memory. That's a really cool challenge, because I feel like I know my ends really well. I'm definitely gonna do this one because I'm like, I know this back road and I know that back road and all the other stuff. Where it says your town, I wonder how much that expands into, like, could I draw it from two stations away? Maybe. That sounds like fun. Um Number three, learn something new. I think I challenged us as listeners to do that last week as well. Learning something new. It doesn't, I mean, it can be as big as learning a new language. Well, you know what's interesting is even saying things are bigger or smaller, like, it's just learning and it takes time. I think we're all, I myself included, are attached to end goals, this idea of achieving something and just being like, oh yeah, I learned it. That probably goes back to the education system in terms of there being exams. And can you hear the birds singing? What was I saying? Exams. And when you're at school, you learn something in order to be tested on it. Maybe it's actually acknowledging that we learn in different ways. It might take you a year, it might take you 2 years, starting with, I know how to say one sentence in Espanol, which is no es posible. Oh, damn, I didn't even say it right. No es posible para mí así. It is not possible for me that way. So maybe I have to learn Spanish. That's it. I got to learn Spanish and I got to learn BSL. I will. I am. I'm going to be on those journeys. So learning something new. I also really want to learn bass guitar. So that's something that's going to go on my list as well. The brain is capable of all of these things. The mind is capable of all of these things. So make sure you come to my music gigs and that. Number four, try using your non-dominant hand. A couple of weeks ago, like last month in April, I remember it. I don't know what happened. It was because I was doing exercises and not stretching. Probably I hurt the right side of my body and could only use my left hand. And at first, it was a bit frustrating, but then I kind of liked it. I was like, "Yo, I'm moving like I'm ambidextrous out here. This is great." But since then, I've gone back to using my dominant hand a lot more. So that's number four, engaging using your left hand. I'm sure that will definitely develop new synapses and new neurons. I'm going to start using my non-dominant hand more as well. In these things I found, it was like eating with your non-dominant hand, writing something down with your non-dominant hand, even just writing. We don't really write anymore because of our devices, right? um I think you can also find more stuff if you Google neurobic exercises. Neurobic exercises. That will help as well. Number five, I found socialize. I don't know if you're like me, but sometimes I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to be around people. People stress me out. But socializing with loved ones or meeting strangers, volunteering is really important in our community. I think that's a good one. Volunteering to maybe, I don't know, garden in your communal gardens, meet up with old people, socializing. And also I remember watching a documentary or reading somewhere that promotes long life as well, social connection. So I think that is a good way for you to exercise your brain. Number six, meditate. Everywhere I look, everywhere I research, everywhere I read, meditation comes up. And sometimes I'm challenged by it because of my preconditioned beliefs around Christianity. And sometimes I see comments in different places where it's like meditating is not of God, or it's not it's not it's not in alignment with Jesus and Christianity. But in terms of literal scientific research on what it does for your brain, you don't need to necessarily do all the mantras, you don't need to necessarily read Sanskrit or listen to the music and stuff like that, but taking time to sit and breathe and go inward trains your brain to slow down. It's brain exercise. Mindfulness, listening to the birds sing in the background as you record a podcast episode. I think I'm gonna I think I've found a quick guide to practicing mindfulness meditation, which I will put in the um what's that thing called? The brief, the bio, the blog, whatever. I'll find a guide to mindfulness meditation that should be helpful. And the last one that I found is, these brain games that are all on our devices. Sudoku, card games. Just be careful because a lot of them can because you're training your brain in regards to receiving a reward or endorphins and dopamine and all those other things. You Okay, maybe this is better. I encourage you to play these mind games as long as they're on paper. So Sudoku on paper, crosswords on paper, card games with other people. So then that's two in one. Socializing with humans, card games with humans, and all that other stuff. Only to encourage um being present with the amount of screen time and device time that we're using. I know I'm thinking to myself, I'm saying this, but literally this is a podcast on the internet, so I'm a hypocrite. I'm a hypocrite. But aren't we all? Anyway, everything in Balenciaga is all balance. I hope this episode gave you as much joy as it has given me, literally just riffing and chatting and acknowledging that the myth number two, which is the brain's hardwiring cannot be changed. It can. Isn't that exciting? That we can go on our journey to change the hardwiring of our brain because we've evolved past the place of saying this is it. This is not it. There's so much more to explore. So much more we could be. And it doesn't end even there. Ugh, how exciting. Anyway, by the time this episode drops, I'll be back from my digital detox. Let's see what happens to my brain in this new experience. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for learning out loud with me. I hope you buy the book and you dive in. I hope you challenge and explore and create dialogue with me in the comment section. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe. Not the YouTube baddie. Thanks, guys. Love you. Have a great week.